This was highly secret interview by CBS News with Walter Cronkite interviewing Daniel Ellsberg. There was another crew and we were assigned to do it in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We had no idea where we were going. We were simply told to meet the producer in Boston early in the morning, and along came Stanhope Gould, which is one of CBS's great producers, field producer, and he was on a bicycle, and he said, "Follow me." And we had no idea where we were going, and we followed him over the bridge to Cambridge, and then he said, took us down some side streets. He says, "Stop right here, go in here, and set up the gear." And about an hour later, along came Walter Cronkite and Gordon Manning, who was the vice president of CBS at the time, and Daniel Ellsberg. And we, sat them down and we shot the interview. And the next morning, I mean, when they ran it on television, it was big news and wound up, they just took a still frame of mine and ran it on the front page of the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Boston Globe. And it was a major story at that time in 1971. And but the story I was going to tell you about the White House photographer in the Truman administration. Now you come with motor drive and you shoot a lot of pictures. But in the days when Truman was president, it was a 4x5 speed graphic, and you put the holder in, pulled the slide, took the picture. And think of the backup pictures that you take on assignments today with the motor drive. This guy took one shot, and he says, "Thank you, Mr. President," put the slide in and walked out. That's confidence in your work. In 1969, I was sent to Cadillac Mountain in Maine. It was the day that man was going to land on the moon, and we were shooting a documentary. We did Charles Corral with the sun coming over his head in the morning at dawn. Corral then flew in a charter to Baltimore, and then flew in a commercial airline to Hawaii, and this was the bookend of the piece called "A Day in the Life of the United States When Man Landed on the Moon." But what happened on that day, which was in July in 1969, Teddy Kennedy put the car off that bridge, and the Dyke Bridge on Martha's Vineyard, and that wound up as a tragedy. And after we finished shooting the Day in the Life story, we headed for Boston and Martha's Vineyard, and I spent half of the summer back and forth to the Chappaquiddick, and back and forth. By day, by night, winter, summer, rolling shots, all kinds of shots of the bridge at Chappaquiddick. And in the middle of summer, they called me and they said, "We want you to go back to Chappaquiddick and film the bridge." I says, "You know how many times I've done that?" He says, "When the film goes over the bridge to the CBS library in Fort Lee, New Jersey, it disappears. So go back. It's easy for you to go back and do it again."